I am Alyssa, and today I will be sharing with you my February 2018 monthly favorites. If you're new to my channel and don't know what my favorites are, that's where I list all the movies, TV shows, video games, etc. that I love during the month. And I always have way too many favorites, but you know what? That's what makes these videos fun, because I am just so diverse in my tastes. Let's get started off with the movies, but BT dubs, if you'd like to see the movies I don't mention in my favorites videos, either check out my blog, alycatgeekery.com, where I write written review roundups, or follow me on Letterboxd, where you can see the movies I watched on the day I watched them and what I rated them way ahead of time. So those are both amazing options. I will love you forever if you do either or both of those. But actually, let's now get into the movies that I just thoroughly love this month. First up is Only the Brave. This is the true story of the Granite Mountain Hotshots, who are firefighters, and they put out some really severe wildfires. Even though it's a true story, I don't want to spoil what happens if you don't know the account, but the performances from Miles Teller, Josh Brolin, Taylor Kitsch are all fantastic. It's a really well done movie, and especially coming from Joseph Kosinski, who previously directed Tron Legacy, this is a fantastic, fantastic biopic. I highly recommend it. The next movie up is Phantom Thread. This is a wonderful film. This is the latest from Paul Thomas Anderson, and is supposedly Daniel Day-Lewis's last acting role, which if it is, he did such a phenomenal job. He plays Reynolds Woodcock. I know, get it out of your system, that last name, just get it out, get it out, get it out. And he is a fashion designer in 1950s London, and he is super obsessed with his craft. And he puts everything else out of the way just to make clothing. He doesn't care about relationships. He only really cares about his sister. But then one day he meets this young woman in a cafe named Alma. She becomes his muse and love interest, and he has to decide if he is going to invest more time in Alma or if he's going to focus more on his fashion and toss Alma to the wayside. This is a beautiful film in every sense of the word. The direction is gorgeous, the cinematography is outstanding, the set design and costume design are exquisite, the acting, like I said, is fantastic. Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps, Leslie Manville are all just wonderful. And even though this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, I thoroughly enjoyed Phantom Thread, and I think if you enjoy Paul Thomas Anderson films, if you like films of that ilk, then you'll like Phantom Thread. Next up, of course, is Black Panther. I do have to come out and say it's not my favorite Marvel movie ever. Please don't slaughter me. But it's still fun. I liked the majority of the characters. I thought it was really fun. The action set pieces were great. I wasn't a big fan of Eric Killmonger as a villain. I know a lot of people love him, okay? I just don't. But I did enjoy Denai Guerrera as Okoye. I loved Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, and I really loved Letitia Wright as Shuri. Some of the special effects were iffy, some were great, but overall I had a fun time watching Black Panther. It was also really fun because I watched it in California on opening night, so that added a little more pizzazz to it. So it's definitely worth a watch. It's just not as great as everyone's making it out to be, but it's still good. Now, a movie I actually enjoyed more than Black Panther, and people are going to massacre me over this, is Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit is so delightful, guys. It's not just for kids. It's actually genuinely funny. I laughed out loud so many times during this movie, and I am a person who does not laugh during comedies. This isn't really a comedy, but it's still super funny. And it's just so warm and delightful, and it makes you feel all cozy and fuzzy inside. Donald Gleason is fantastic, as always. Rose Byrne is great. The voice cast comprising of James Corden, Daisy Ridley, Margot Robbie, Sia. Just, so great. It's just so good. It's so delightful. I would say if you like films like Paddington, check out Peter Rabbit. It's just so good. Another film I really enjoyed was Wonder. This did leave a lump in my throat, but this is based on the best-selling novel by R.J. Palacio, and it focuses on Augie Pullman, a young boy who has a facial disfigurement, and his struggle with going to public school and dealing with other kids and how they view him and perceive him and how they treat him. And this film is all about love and acceptance and kindness, and how this doesn't just impact Augie, it impacts his family and friends as well. It's a beautifully done film. It's directed by Steven Chbosky, who wrote and directed The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and he hit the nail on the head with this film. It's really well done. Julia Roberts, Owen Wilson, Jacob Tremblay, all fantastic, so I highly recommend you watch this, especially if you want a feel good yet tug on the heartstrings kind of movie. Another movie I really enjoyed personally, but will not be for everyone, is Lady Macbeth. This stars Florence Pugh in a fantastic star-making role, and she plays a young woman who is sold into marriage with a man who is twice her age. She is extremely unhappy, and she starts an affair with one of the workers on the estate. And of course, this film shows how the affair has consequences and what those consequences are. I think it's very beautifully told. The acting's great. The set design and costume design are spectacular, and I really enjoyed the story. But again, it's not going to be for everyone. Some people will find it boring or dense or just too predictable, but I really enjoyed it for what it was. The next movie up is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This film is a tour de force, and I suspect that this is going to probably sweep the Oscars. Frances McDormand gives such a powerful performance, as does Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson. The story is gut-wrenching. It's really hard to stomach at points, but it's fantastic. And this is a must-see movie. It's just a movie you have to see. It's 5 out of 5 stars. It goes in unexpected directions, and I really enjoyed how they pulled the story off. I love how Martin McDonagh wrote the story, and it is very profane, it is very graphic, and the use of language, but it's very well done, very smart, very sharp. Another Oscar bait movie is Call Me By Your Name. This is actually a really well done movie. I do wish it had been a little more heavy on the romance, but Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer are fantastic. Michael Stuhlbarg gives a fantastic performance as Timothée Chalamet's character's Elio's father, and I just loved how this charted the course of Elio and Oliver's relationship over the course of a 6-week-long vacation. I enjoyed seeing how they both grew up in different ways while exploring themselves. And it was just a movie that I think a lot of people can identify with, even if you're not LGBT or on the spectrum or anything like that. I think anyone with an open mind can identify with this movie, and I really do want to read the novel that this is based on now because it was such a beautiful story. And like I said, I do wish there had been a little more romance, but I understand why there wasn't. So I do recommend Call Me By Your Name if you have an open mind, and if you like arty films and films with a deep message, I think you'll really enjoy it. And the last film I want to talk about is another film that is nominated for Oscars, and that is Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour is about Winston Churchill and stars Gary Oldman. I'm calling it now. Gary Oldman's going to win the Oscar for Best Actor, because you cannot tell this is Gary Oldman. He does such a fantastic job portraying Churchill, and this is a man who has been portrayed by so many actors, but Gary Oldman, in my opinion, is the best to date. The prosthetics work is incredible. I loved Lily James as his secretary. Kristen Scott Thomas as his wife Clementine was also fantastic, and just seeing his decisions about Dunkirk and seeing how he response to being elected prime minister, it's just really fascinating. I am a history buff, so this might be boring to some people, but I would say if you're a fellow history buff, if you want to learn more about Churchill, Darkest Hour is a really good film. For TV, the first show I want to mention is season 2 of Glitch. Since this is the second season, I can't tell you much about it, but the premise of Glitch overall is there are 6 people who rise up from their graves, and they're not zombies, they're just regular people that come back to life. They're in peak condition, perfect health. No one knows what the hell happened, why they're back, why they're alive again. And it shows how their being alive complicates the relationships between the townspeople of Urana. It's fantastic. It's very well done. Each season is only 6 episodes long, so you can easily binge this show. I desperately need a 3rd season, and if you haven't seen Glitch yet, watch it. It's so good, and I don't hear a lot of people, at least in America, talk about it because this is an Australian show, but it is available to watch on Netflix in the US, and I highly recommend you watch it because it's so good! Also, another Netflix exclusive show I am loving is Altered Carbon. Anything with Joel Kinnaman in it, I will watch, but this is based off Richard K. Morgan's novel of the same name, and is about a man named Takeshi Kovacs who wakes up 250 years after he dies to realize he has been re-sleeved, which means that his stacks, which a stack in this universe is comprised of a person's personality, all their traits and quirks and flaws, his stack has been inserted into another body, so he's a different person with the same soul. It's confusing, I know, and he is hired by a man who has also been re-sleeved to solve this man's murder. It's set in this very neo-noir setting. It's a gorgeous show. It's very graphic, so I have to warn you about that. Very mature, but it's so fascinating. And if you like science fiction, you have to watch Altered Carbon. Joel Kinnaman, that booty. That booty! And lastly for the games, the first one up is Night in the Woods. This is a mostly narratively driven story. You play as a young cat named May, and the story just starts from when May comes back home from college and she meets up with her friends from high school, and it just kind of chronicles her life back home, how she interacts with her friends after such a long period away. It also kind of delves into mental illness, which I really appreciated, and it does have a kind of spooky subplot, but that's not the major point of this game. It's about May rediscovering herself, accepting herself for who she is, and it's just fantastic. I highly recommend you play it. Also, I'm really loving The Evil Within 2. I adored the first Evil Within, and this one is just, it's fantastic. The upgrading system has been massively improved, which I am so happy about. Sebastian Castellanos has been more fleshed out in this game, and I am loving it so far. I'm not very far in. I'm only about 4 chapters in, but I am loving it. I'm already terrified of Amina, the scary ghost lady. Oh! And that guy who keeps taking my picture, what's up with him? I know he's kidnapped my daughter in this game, but come on, guys, stop taking my picture. I did not ask for it. But anyway, I'm really enjoying The Evil Within 2. And I highly recommend it if you're into survival horror and you like the first game. So those are all my favorites for February 2018, which is kind of amazing because I was gone for 10 days of the month, but I still managed to fit all this in. Woohoo! Let me know what your favorites of February were in the comment box down below. If you liked the video, leave a like. Also share the video if you liked it because it helps my channel grow. If you're not subscribed already, but you like what you've seen and heard, hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell, so you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. Also, if you'd like to follow me on social media sites, those are all linked in the description box down below. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. You're always my favorites. Peace and kisses.